Arbitrum and Optimism get compared like they're rivals. They're not. They're two different answers to the same scaling problem, built on two different philosophies. And once you understand those philosophies, the entire Layer 2 landscape becomes a lot easier to navigate. Today, we're breaking down Arbitrum versus Optimism, not as a competition, but as two different design families inside the optimistic rollup category. We're looking at how they execute transactions, how they handle fraud proofs, how they scale, and what each one is actually trying to build. By the end of this episode, you'll have a clean mental model for both systems, and you'll understand why they look similar on the surface, but behave very differently under the hood. Now, before we split them apart, we need to anchor the one thing that matters. Arbitrum and Optimism are both optimistic rollups. That means they post compressed transaction data to Ethereum. They assume transactions are valid unless someone challenges them. They rely on fraud proofs to enforce correctness. And they inherit Ethereum's security. Same category, same trust assumptions, same foundation. Everything that follows from there is divergence. Arbitrum's philosophy is performance and flexibility. They want to push the optimistic roll-up model as far as it can go without breaking it. Arbitrum uses what's called a multi-round fraud proof. Instead of verifying an entire state transition in one giant step, Arbitrum breaks down the dispute down into smaller and smaller pieces until it isolates the exact instruction that's wrong. This approach makes it possible to handle large, complex transactions without blowing up the cost of verification. It's slower to resolve, of course, but far more scalable under heavy load. Then there's Nitro, which is Arbitrum's execution engine. Nitro compiles code down to WebAssembly, usually shortened to WASM, which is a fast, portable format that runs efficiently across different environments. Using WASM gives Arbitrum speed, efficient compression, and a clean upgrade path. It's one of the reasons Arbitrum feels fast and stays fast, even when the network is busy. And finally, Arbitrum's expansion strategy is built around something called orbit chains. Orbit lets teams deploy their own roll-ups that settle onto Arbitrum instead of Ethereum. That creates a layered ecosystem where specialized chains can exist for gaming, DeFi, enterprise, or anything else that needs its own environment. Arbitrum isn't just scaling itself, it's building a roll-up of roll-ups. Optimism's philosophy is almost the opposite. Instead of maximizing flexibility, Optimism maximizes standardization. They want multiple chains to behave like one network, with shared rules, shared upgrades, and shared infrastructure. Optimism uses a single round fraud proof. Instead of narrowing down a dispute step by step, the entire state transition is verified in one shot. It's a simpler design that's easier to reason about and faster to resolve. It trades some flexibility for consistency. The OP stack is Optimism's modular framework for building rollups, and the OP stack is the standardized toolkit that lets any team deploy a chain that plugs directly into the same architecture. That's why Coinbase built Base on it. That's why WorldCoin built their chain on it. And that is why more and more Layer 2s are becoming OP chains. The OP stack is becoming the template for building rollups. And all of this feeds into Optimism's long-term roadmap, the superchain. The superchain is a unified network of OP chains that share security, share governance, and share upgrades. Instead of a collection of independent roll-ups, Optimism is trying to build a federated ecosystem that behaves like one large modular network. So when you put the two systems side by side, the differences become clear. Arbitrum uses a custom execution environment built on WebAssembly, while Optimism stays tightly aligned with the Ethereum virtual machine. Arbitrum uses multi-round fraud proofs, while Optimism uses a single-round design. Arbitrum expands upward through layer 3s with Orbit, while Optimism expands horizontally through layer 2s with the OP stack. Arbitrum's governance is slower and more decentralized, while Optimism's governance is more coordinated across chains. One optimizes for performance and flexibility, the other optimizes for standardization and unification. They're solving the same problem from opposite angles. So neither system is really better, they're optimized for different outcomes. Arbitrum is building a high-performance roll-up ecosystem with deep technical flexibility. Optimism is building a modular, unified network that multiple chains can plug into. Both approaches do matter. Both approaches will shape Ethereum's scaling roadmap, and both give you a window into how modular blockchains evolve over the next decade. When you understand Arbitrum and Optimism, you understand optimistic roll-ups. And once you understand optimistic roll-ups, the rest of the Layer 2 landscape becomes much easier to navigate. Arbitrum versus Optimism isn't a rivalry, it's a design study. Two different philosophies, two different architectures, two different visions for how Ethereum scales. If you understand the difference between these two systems, you understand the optimistic roll-up category as a whole. So in the next episode, we zoom out from specific projects and go deeper into roll-ups themselves, what a roll-up actually is, how it works, and why roll-ups are the core scaling strategy for Ethereum. So stay locked.